Hello, friends. I hope you had a good Christmas. Gatherings with family and friends, special things in the parishes, special things in the community. I hope you really had a good moment of celebration, of joy and peace, as we celebrated the coming of Jesus, the Prince of Peace. However, to be honest, here we are just into the new year, and already any sense of peace, security, joy, harmony has quickly been replaced by what we hear in the news. The attack upon the president and his wife in Venezuela, the murder of that woman in Minneapolis who was simply turning around in the street to go back on the way she came. All of that. And continuing stress in the wars that just continue. Ukraine and Congo and so many other places. And just signs of tension and division. Greenland, Canada, just so many signs of division and of hatred and of violence that's flashing across our screens so much these days. And you know what? I was listening to a report by the CBC, and they were reflecting upon what's the consequence of all of these heightened areas of tension, heightened areas of division. And one commentator put it this way: there's a rise in a generalized feeling of anxiety, and that's coming from the signs of tension and war and power and all of that are all around us. And he was saying that feeling is he described it as amorphous. Amorphous means you can't get your hand on it, you can't seize it. And so, the question is like, where are we going? Where is this going to lead? How much more can it become serious? Very, very serious. How will we ever move beyond this? So yes, an amorphous sense of anxiety, an amorphous sense of division. And he added, and this sense that it's unsolvable. And when we lose hope, that's when it gets really, really serious. Because then there's no stopping how much more that feeling of anxiety, hatred or fear, divisions can grow. When there's no hope of how to bring about community, how to bring about peace, how to bring about the kingdom of God, that's a bad place to be, very bad. And so one can often say, and we often hear this, but what can we do at our level? And that's exactly what I'm thinking about these days. The question is, when will we get a respite from all of this? And the question is perhaps better phrased, how can we be a respite for others right around us now who are who we're all seemingly caught up in this feeling of anxiety and all of that. How can we be instruments of respite, instruments of giving strength and hope, sharing a common sense of friendship, fraternity, solidarity, being one community, one people, despite all our nations and cultures and languages and all of our differences? How could that be a sense of diversity that brings about enrichment of one another, of all others? So when I was thinking about that, saying, when will we get some respite? And I was saying, well, no, maybe the question should be, how can we be the respite for one another? It's the sense of right here on the ground, okay? In Winnipeg, within 4 times in a week, there were incidences of anti-Semitism, of hate, crimes, swastikas, windows broken, and rather than just to give in to blaming and condemnation, or to simply feeling ourselves as helpless victim, what can we do? Well, if we have that Jewish neighbor 3 houses down, when we drop off our kids at school, do we take an extra time to just talk, converse, and slowly build up the links, the ties of encounter at a human level? Maybe we go to that restaurant and have that Palestinian Middle Eastern meal and speak with the owner and encourage him, support him by our words and by our business. Whenever the conversation comes up about differences, indigenous, non-indigenous, 4th, 5th generation, or newcomer from 6 months ago, to actually, in a focused way, reach out and listen and converse and support as we can. Sometimes just smile, leading to the possibility of a friendship, or at least a sense of shared humanity. So, yes, our world at the macro level and at the micro level, there's certainly things that can bring about anxiety in us, can bring about those attitudes and thoughts that we don't want to have, but they're there like that. And so then to take in a focused way, I choose to be a peacemaker. We choose to be peacemakers together. Then I think we're not left with an amorphous sense of anxiety. Not rose-colored glasses, no, but a clear sense of, if this is in our world and we don't want it, that anxiety, division, tension, then it's up to us to make that choice and to be creative about those choices, to learn about other people, to be interested in their cuisine and in the richness of their home country, interested in people's history, families' histories, and different nations' history as being linked together. So I think we can, we should, and it will bring us out of that amorphous reality into a much healthier place in God, through Jesus, and for and with one another. The Prince of Peace is amongst us, inviting us to follow him. Thank you.